Well, good day, everyone. Thank you again for joining our webinar, and thank you for our hosts, our partners, Kids Technologies, for hosting us so we can present our solution to cyber protection, protecting your data, analyzing your systems and the data on that systems, and then going ahead and protecting it. And this is our solution called the Acronis Cyberprotect Cloud, which is available through our partners. Right, my name is Nicholas Keen. I'm a solutions engineer at Acronis, and I'll be taking you through the platform. The agenda today is I'm going to give you a presentation, show you what our platform looks like, how to protect a device, and do some analysis on it, and then answer any questions that you may have right at the end. All right, so just a quick brief introduction about Acronis. We have been around since 2003. We are a global company with headquarters in Switzerland and in Singapore. We have thousands of customers, millions of customers around the world, and we are leaders in cyber protection. And I'll discuss what cyber protection is, but just so you know, we are an established company that have been around providing first data backup and protection solutions, and now complete cyber protection for your workloads and your data. So the world as it exists today is made up of multiple different tool sets around there. Right? And these tool sets do not help protect you individually, do not help protect you against existing threats. Your traditional antivirus software can't help you recover from an attack. It doesn't store your data, doesn't protect your data. It just stops the threat. And of course, there are AV solutions out there that have vulnerabilities or can protect you against known vulnerabilities or vulnerability assessment, etc. Your management tools, like your RMM tools, often don't have the capabilities to protect you against viruses or back up your data. And of course, your traditional backup solutions can't protect you from malware, can't see the gaps in your systems, the vulnerabilities, and then help you patch and close those gaps as well. So you need multiples of these tools to protect your workloads and your data. But this can become an expensive and complex solution to manage because you need multiple different tools and multiple different training for your staff. But they all need to know these different solutions. You've got different cost centers. Everything gets a little bit more complicated. And this is where Acronis Cyberprotect comes in. It's a true AI-powered integration of data protection with cybersecurity, with a proactive, active, and reactive solution, which integrates all the various aspects of cyber protection into a single tool set. So we have things like vulnerability assessment with the ability to patch systems. We have the full anti-ransomware and anti-malware protection that integrates with our backups to scan backups in the cloud to ensure that they are protected from, not just protected from malware, but also the data inside that does not contain any malware. And this is part of our complete solution of integrating the full requirements for cyber protection. But to reiterate, it's a solution that includes backup and recovery, antivirus and anti-malware protection, and security and management functionality, such as endpoint management, vulnerability assessment, and patching. Our solution is built around the NIST security framework to ensure that your workloads are protected. We identify your devices and the threats that sit on them, as well as the data where that data is residing. We then can protect those with our agents, right? It's a single agent you deploy on the machine, not multiple different components, not multiple different installations that you have to manage to have this feature and that feature, etc. We detect threats, detect vulnerabilities, detect hardware failures such as hard drive health, and we can report this to you to make sure that you are aware of what's going on in your environment. And then we can respond to those threats, right? So once we've detected a threat, we can help you respond by patching those systems with the vulnerabilities, quarantining malware, and recovering systems and their data. On top of that, we also have things like forensic data in our backups that we can integrate. So if something does come, you do get attacked, you do get breached, we can help with the investigation with our forensic information in the backups. And all this culminates in what we call our protection plan. This is a single plan that covers all the aspects of cyber protection, starting from the backup, the antivirus, the vulnerability assessment, patch management, data protection mapping, so mapping where your data is stored, and then also device control, so locking down the devices restricting access to certain external peripherals. To start off, historically, we have been a backup company that pivoted to protecting data, not just backing it up, but also protecting it on the endpoints itself. And so we have an excellent hybrid cloud backup solution that protects this full image and file level backup and recovery across the similar hardware, helping you migrate your workloads across and wherever they may be. We can also store data either locally or in the cloud, depending on what your requirements might be. We have significantly extended anti-malware capabilities. If years ago we had a solution called Active Protection, it's a well-regarded anti-ransomware solution that protects devices against ransomware using machine learning and artificial intelligence. This helps helps protect against zero-day threats as well. And this has been extended now to a complete antivirus solution that integrates with both Windows, Mac, and Linux. So how do our layers of protection work? In our base standard product, we have multiple levels of proactive, active, and reactive protection, right? To scan the systems for vulnerabilities, we scan applications as soon as they start running. We start detecting if they are threats. We can lock down devices and protect our own software. We can proactively protect against malicious attacks, as well as help patch any systems on an active basis, right? And then in the worst case scenario, when you do need to recover, we at least have the backups there to recover the data. And this is enhanced by our advanced security solution as well, which is just an add-on for this product, which makes it into a complete rounded cyber protection solution. We have an integrated vulnerability assessment functionality as well, same agent and everything. And this covers all your major operating systems, so Windows, Mac, and Linux. And it's first-party and third-party applications that we protect against. So it's not just your Microsoft products, it's Microsoft and Windows products. It's not just your Apple products, it's Apple and third-party Mac OS operating applications, as well as your Linux systems. We show you the vulnerabilities, and if there are any patches for your Windows systems available, we can help you patch them with our patch management solution, right? And we have the largest database of applications that we assess and check in our solution, make sure that these patches are safe and available, and we push them out to you to make sure that you are updated for your vulnerable applications as well. Of course, this also integrates with our backup as well to allow you to create recovery points to ensure that if any patches do cause any problems, you can roll back to a working version of your software. We also have device control, part of our data loss prevention functionality. Also to note, this is built into the product, right? It's not an extra add-on that you need to have. Same with our vulnerability assessment, right? It's part of the standard solution that you can then leverage to protect your workloads, to protect your data, prevent people from taking or removing data that they shouldn't have from your systems. Lockdown, access to external peripherals such as removable drives, printers, etc., so that your data stays on the systems that they're meant to stay on. And of course, a big part of cyber protection is protecting against hardware failures. And so with our hard drive health monitoring, we can actively predict when your drives are going to fail and alert you to that so that you can take preventative action to maybe back up more frequently, replace the drives in a timely fashion so that you don't have to worry about, situations where your drives fail and your systems are down and your data is lost. Of course, part of assessing your environment is knowing what hardware you're running, what systems are in your environment, and the software that's running on it. And with our hardware and software inventory, we can actually keep track of the devices that you have in your environment, what the hardware information, the patching, the operating system updates, how updated that system is, how much free space is on those drives, etc., as well as the software running on those systems as well. What software has been newly installed? What software has been removed? Has someone actually maliciously installed some software? it'll then show up as a new piece of software on their systems and alert you to that, so you can keep track of what your environment is looking like. Of course, part of remediating these vulnerabilities, remediating dangers in your environment, means that we need to actually get onto those systems and do some work on them. And with that, in our same agent, no extra functionality required. Also included in the standard product is our remote desktop and remote assistance capabilities. Allows you, without having to configure firewalls and VPNs, connect directly into your systems to work on them no matter where you are, right? Because it's through our console. And we support a wide range of workloads for this, right? So all the Microsoft systems, so Windows, server, desktop, we support protecting Exchange, SQL servers, SharePoint as well. Your virtualization platforms such as Hyper-V, as well as the other virtualization platforms, VMware, Red Hat, KVM, Virtuoso, etc. And we protect Linux and Mac systems as well, with some basic protection for your mobile devices included. Right, so we try and protect all the data no matter where it's sitting. And this allows for some truly innovative data protection scenarios, such as mapping where your data is stored and alerting you if your protection plan does not protect all the data on your systems. Helps with safe endpoint recovery, so we can not just we can integrate, not just do safe recovery, right, where we do recovering of the data and excluding any malware, but we can stream in patches and malware updates in that recovery process to ensure that your recovered system is up to date and ready to go. Our solution being a single agent means that it's more efficient. You don't have to have a separate agent for backup, a separate agent for vulnerability assessment, a separate agent for antivirus, all included in a single platform and a single solution, all managed in one place. Now, why should you trust Acronis? Well, we've been in the industry for over 15 years now, and we have a significant number of independent tests and industry awards to our name. And we are an active part of the cybersecurity community as well, contributing our own research with our own cyber protection operation centers, as well as integrating some of this information into our platform as well. Right, so you can see here, we have got a 100% detection rate on our antivirus solution with 0 false positives in a recent VB100 test. Now, how is the solution offered, right? Well, we have a standard product, which includes things like your vulnerability assessment, your active protection against anti-ransomware, as well as self-protection for the Acronis software. Includes the antivirus and anti-malware protection with local signature-based detection and your device control, all included from a security perspective. From the management perspective, we have the hardware inventory, the remote assistance and remote desktop functionality, as well as the ability to centrally manage all your workloads in one place. And then, of course, from a data protection perspective or data backup perspective, we have the file and image level backup, all included in the standard product. And this helps you protect all your workloads with an excellent backup and security management functionality in one single solution. Now, of course, we have advanced packs that you can add on to have advanced functionality as well. So for instance, our advanced security solution helps turn the solution. Remember, it's the same agent, same pane of glass, right? No extra installation required. The same software becomes a full antivirus solution, as well as a full patch management solution with software inventory, hard drive health monitoring, and then coming down the line, software deployment functionalities as well. On top of that, we do have email security as well, which is another vector where threats do come into your environment, and we have protection for your emails if you need to as well. So there you can see you can add on the advanced packs as needed for you to protect your workloads. So you can see it's a standard product which covers most of your protection with advanced packs that are added on as needed. All right, now we're going to just take a quick look at the platform, how it looks, and how we can easily go ahead and protect a specific device. All right. Is my screen visible?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yes,
All right, great. So this is our console where we centrally manage all our workloads and our protection. And the first thing we see when we log in is a very nice overview that gives us insight into what has been going on in our environment from a protection perspective. So here we can see how much data has been backed up today, how much malware has been blocked just for today versus overall, how many vulnerabilities we have, and how many vulnerabilities have been found overall versus patches that are ready to be installed and patches that we that have been installed over time. We get alerts, so whether we have had malware detected in our backups, from whether we have URLs that have been blocked, malicious URLs, whether malware and malicious processes have been detected and stopped. We can see all this information in our dashboard that's very easy to understand. And it covers a wide range of information. We can see the vulnerabilities, drill down into the exact machine where we can see what is going on, as well as the severity of those vulnerabilities and the CVE number, where we can get more information on specific vulnerabilities in our environment. Go ahead and see active alerts, information on our devices, as well as storage information and patch installation history about how things have been going on in our environment. Right. This information can be downloaded or emailed on demand if you need to. So you can share this with other people to generate easy to understand reports about your environment. We have alerts which show us exactly what has been going on, malware that's been detected, right? So for instance, here's various real live malware that has been run against these systems. Right.
Guys,
Real.
can you please mute yourself? There is some background noise.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So when running real live actual malware, not just test malware files, but actual malware against it, it stops them and detects it, right? Both on the standard protection and the advanced protection, you can see that there is protection here. We have URL filtering to block us from going to malicious URLs where your users might be navigating to malicious websites and accidentally downloading malware on those systems. We actually stop it right there and then. And of course, we have a threat feed, right, which periodically gets updated with threat information from our cyber protection operation centers. These are research groups we have 3 around the world that work in conjunction to assess the threat information, and they feed it in here, various updates, and then obviously these have timeout after various times. So the latest one that's coming here, for instance, is a vulnerability in Microsoft Exchange. And we can leverage this information because we have such great integrations with both the security, the patch management, the vulnerability assessment, etc. We have the smart protection plans, which can give us recommended actions. So the recommended action of this particular machine is to run an anti-malware protection and then back up our unprotected machines. And with one click, I can protect my entire environment against this new threat that is delivering malware, or rather delivering ransomware through a Microsoft Exchange vulnerability. Of course, our solution here is designed to protect devices. And so we need to manage our devices in one central place. And we can see here, we've got some devices that are being protected, are being backed up. Currently, they've just started their process. And of course, we have a new device here that we haven't protected that I installed just this morning, just to show you how we can go ahead and protect it. So if I click on the specific device, we can see all the various actions that we can perform on it, whether we do protect the device, recover it, remote desktop into it, patch it, run a hardware or software inventory on that system, etc. So let's go ahead and look at how we can go ahead and protect this from various threats. If we click the protect plan, it opens up the wizard to either apply an existing plan that we've created, or as I'm going to do here, create a new protection plan. But And as you can see, our protection plan covers the whole range of cyber protection, whether it's backup, antivirus, vulnerability assessment, patch management, data protection mapping, so mapping where your data is stored, as well as your device control, etc. So once you've got this new machine, we choose if we wish to back it up and where to back it up, configure various aspects of the backup solution, right? Configure our anti-malware protection in more detail, choose when to do scans, what exactly to do on the protection side of things, exclude any processes or files or folders if we need to, as well as configure our URL filtering, block access or to restricted websites. We can do category-based filtering as well, so you can block access to certain categories. Or we can exclude specific URLs and processes or block them explicitly. Then from a vulnerability assessment, right, because this is a Windows machine, it's only giving us the Windows options, but we can choose what applications to be assessed for vulnerabilities. So the solution works by assessing the applications running on those systems, if they're out of date, if they have any vulnerabilities, right? So it's endpoint vulnerability assessment. And then, of course, we can patch those systems, your Microsoft products, as well as your third-party Windows applications, and configure our pre-update backup if we need to as well. The last two sections we have is to configure our data protection mapping, because protecting your endpoints is used pointless if we are not protecting our data on them. And so if we create a policy that does not cover all the data in our environment, we need to make sure that our system can scan where our data is stored and is it being protected. And then finally, our device control, where we lock down access, restrict access to removable drives, restrict access to printers, etc. as needed, block access to redirected drives, ensure that when users plug in USB drives into their system, are they actually allowed to plug that device in? And if we need to, we can create an allow list of known USB peripherals, whether that's a removable drive, a camera, a printer, etc., so that users within your organization can have specific drives that they are allowed to plug into their systems, rather than bringing any old device, any device that they have, right, that may bring in malicious software that may be used to extract company data, etc. And once we have our plan, we create it and it gets applied to our workload that we wish to protect. And once it's applied, we can go ahead and manually run certain tasks. So for instance, I'm going to manually run the vulnerability assessment to ensure that we get that activity started. And then we're going to run a backup task just to back up the data manually. Of course, it's going to run on schedule. All right, and as I can see, we can add devices fairly simply to our environment. That's an important part. We download the agent, deploy it on our system. And for our Windows environments, we can deploy them through Active Directory if we need to, or we can scan the local network or specify lists of IP addresses to make deployment a simple task, because that's our goal, is to have all of our cyber protection simple to manage and simple to use for you as the person whose data needs to be protected. If we move on to the anti-malware section, we can see our quarantined files, right? See files that have been quarantined, choose what to do with them, get an analysis of the hash file, etc. as needed. We can also configure our software management, view the patches that are in our environment, right? See what software is affected by the name of the software, the affected product, how critical this patch is, right? And which machines are affected by the specific patch. And then we can go ahead and granularly approve or decline patches if we need to. So we need to get full control over what patches are installed, just in case there are some patches that do break things and you want to exclude them from your patching side of things. For the vulnerability side of things, we get a nice overview of all our vulnerabilities, the affected products, if there are patches available. So for instance, this particular vulnerability does not have a patch that's ready to be available, even though it's a critical patch. And for there, we would need to consult the vulnerability database to actually go ahead and find out how to resolve those specific vulnerabilities as well. We also get information on our software that's installed on the system, right? Any newly installed or newly updated software will show up here as a new piece of software, and we can get an insight in our reporting of what software is installed across those systems. And that's where our reporting does come in from an important informational perspective. We have a number of reports that are pre-configured, covering all our various things, such as our existing vulnerabilities, such as our hardware inventory, our patch management summaries, etc. But of course, we can create customized patches, reports that show exactly what kind of information we want using these widgets, because getting the information and actioning that information is what is very important in protecting your devices. So if, for instance, I wanted to look at my vulnerability and patch management side of things, I could go ahead here and show my existing vulnerabilities, and I can customize it to show just one specific vendor or any specific vulnerability, severity, etc. And this can be emailed on demand or downloaded on demand or scheduled to be emailed as well. Right, so machines are busy backing up at the moment, but once they're all backed up, we can actually also do recoveries, and we can also view if there are any malware in our backups as well. So for instance, which one is the malware in it? We have detected malware in this specific file here, and it'll show us where this malware is being detected, right? And when we do a recovery process, right? So if we were going to recover this entire machine, we could perform what is called a safe recovery. And that helps exclude the malware from the recovery process. Just taking a bit of time here. Because it's an important part to make sure that not only is your data protected where it's being generated, but also where it's stored. And that's where our solution then does come in from a protection perspective. Live demos always are things can happen. All right, so there we have the option to do safe recovery, where we ensure that the data that we are recovering is recovered safely. Of course, this is something I would have to look at from that side of things. So from what you can see here, our solution is designed to not just assess your data, assess where it's stored, assess the endpoints that the data is residing on, being worked on, and being generated on, but also to protect those systems, whether it's protecting the data with backup and malware scanning, protecting the systems by finding the vulnerabilities and patching them, whether it's protecting the devices themselves, keeping them up to date, making sure that you're aware of any threats to those devices. This is where our Acronis Cyberprotect cloud solution comes into play, and how it can help you protect all your various workloads. Okay, that brings us to the end of our webinar presentation. I would like to open the floor to any questions that you may have, anything that came up that you wanted to see, that you might need a bit more clarity on from our solution. This solution, please feel free to ask now, either in person, voice, or in chat, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
Thank you very much, Nick. So please do ask questions. The questions that you need answers to.
But of course,
if you cannot hack the voice,
sorry. Of course, if you do have any other questions that come on later, or you would like a more in-depth demonstration of the solution, or you'd like a trial of the product, then obviously please reach out to our partner, and they will assist you in demonstrating, getting a sense of this solution. Okay, do we have any training in Nigeria? So all our training is done online, right? So we offer training on our solutions for our partners, etc., in our academy, to just get an understanding of how our solutions work. We don't have in-person training venues for any of our certifications. Something that's also important to note whilst you go ahead and I'll ask your questions is that these days, I mentioned it up front, but it's not enough to just protect or to get an assessment of where what your vulnerabilities are, where your data is stored, is it protected, but you also need to protect those devices and make sure that you have those devices centrally protected as well for ease of use. Can we do full access control? So from a access control perspective, our solution is designed to lock down external peripherals. It's not a full access control solution. We are implementing an advanced data loss prevention functionality because to help with locking down devices in a bit more of a fashion, so restricting network access, etc. And that is an advanced pack that is coming very shortly. How does your solution provide security to applications and data in the cloud? So our solution is endpoint focused, which means that we deploy agents to endpoints or to the hypervisor themselves to protect them. So for for cloud applications, so the things that are running directly in the cloud where you don't have access to the underlying operating system, then we are not able to integrate with those. But where we can deploy the agent, so on a Windows, Mac, Windows or Linux system running either running in any cloud solution, and we can deploy our agent, we can protect those workloads. Of course, we do integrate with Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace as well to protect those workloads, whether it's backing up the data or doing email security for them. And of course, we also have the ability to back up websites as well that might be running in the cloud.
Is any other questions?
So about Google Workspace, so there was a question about Google Workspace. What we can do is back up your mailboxes, back up your Google Drive, back up your shared drives as well. Make sure that they're backed up. And then we have our email security, which acts as a protection. So incoming threats through their emails, intercepts you. Virus protection, business impersonation protection, phishing protection, anti-spam, etc. And that's how we can go ahead and have a holistic approach about protecting your workspace. So protecting the data and protecting the incoming threats through the email side of things.
There's also a question to can we do full access control?
Yeah, I think I asked that answer that question on the access control side, but just to reiterate, just to restate, that our solution for device control has at the moment the ability to lock down. Well, we can block specific URLs, and we can also lock down access to and from peripherals on those devices. But with our advanced data loss prevention, we'll have a bit more control over getting access to certain data types, network types, etc. Okay, so how to do vulnerability test for a possible customer. So that is something that can be done, right? What's great about something like our vulnerability assessment for a customer is that the vulnerability assessment is included in the basic product and is essentially something that you can offer for nothing, right? You can deploy the agents to your customers, to your customer, and run the vulnerability assessment. And then what's great about it is then you can easily turn on the other features to protect those vulnerabilities. So if there's vulnerabilities discovered, you can then go ahead and patch them with the patch management solution as well. But the vulnerability assessment, obviously you deploy the agents, whether it's on Windows or Mac or Linux, and then you can scan them for vulnerabilities through our system.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, I want to know how it is built and how much.
Okay, for commercial related questions, you will need to contact our partners, Kids Technologies. They will help you assess, help you with from a billing perspective, right? This solution is offered through them, and so they will provide you with any information. So please reach out to them and ask about directly those questions, unless someone from Kids would like to answer that question directly now.
Yes, we can. We would share those details once we have the after the seminar. We would talk with Victor, and then we can close that issue. Thank you.
One last question, please.
No problem.
This webinar, can I have any link I can get this video, because I didn't start recording from the beginning?
Yes, of course. Once once we are done with the webinar, we will share the link to you, and then you'll be able to view the webinar again.
Thank you.
How much of a price comparison to others in the industry? Our pricing is very competitive. We like to be competitive, but one of the big benefits of our solution is it's not an all or nothing solution. And this is where it really comes into its power, because with other solutions, you need to buy a certain tier of licensing, whether it's an advanced license type thing or a standard license, and then all your devices need to match that type of licensing, right? So with our solution, you can choose exactly what features that you need and for which devices those features need to apply. So for instance, if you just need the advanced security for one or two of your devices, but then you can use the standard offering for the rest of your devices. And it becomes very easy for you to price out on a flexible manner, just exactly how you are protected and how much it's going to cost you in terms of features and additional packs that you might need.
Excellent.
Sorry, one other question. Security is a very sensitive matter with respect to China, for example.
Yes.
So where is your company based? Where are your servers?
So
If you understand my question, especially related to your customers, and you don't want
Mm.
a situation where China is really misbehaving with respect to data. So
No, I fully understand that. So we are a global company. We have offices around the world. Our company is headquartered in Switzerland, and we also have an R&D headquarters in Singapore. We have R&D research facilities in the US and across the world as well. We have data centers around the world, whether it's in Europe, whether our data centers are in the US, in Asia, etc. Right, and so our main data center for kits is in in London, in the London data center. So it very much depends, but our data centers are all GDPR compliant as needed. They all we have the full certifications and disaster recovery plans in effect. They're ISO rated as well, with good access control, etc. So I understand the concerns about security and privacy, and part of our big focus is this philosophy around SAPAS, right, which is safety, authenticity, privacy, accessibility, and security. And privacy is one of the big important parts of our motto. Type of things. So that is our philosophy in terms of privacy as well. And of course, we are planning on building out data centers around the globe, especially in Africa. We are, building data centers as fast as possible everywhere we need them. Thank you.
Permit me to be a little bit more specific, though I mentioned it earlier on. Do you have data centers in China, for example?
China.
We do have a presence in China, yes. The important thing to note is that the data centers are not shared resources. In other words, data from one data center to others, they're basically isolated in the sense that if my data is stored in one data center, it doesn't transfers to other data centers as well. So, if data is stored in the EU, it stays in the EU.
Thank you.
Okay, Nick, if
yeah.
I may share the page with the
Right.
how the product is set up. So just gonna share only one slide. Nick, if you want to cover it. Yeah,
Just trying to...
for everybody to have an idea on how the actual licensing is done, because everything is under one agent, but it all depends on what you enable. So let me just share the screen right now. Okay, so yeah, Nick, can you cover this part a little bit, or should I?
I can cover this part. I mentioned that in my slide deck about the standard product, which covers your security, your basic security, your management, and your backups, all included in the standard product, right? Right. What you see in the blue section, the security section, the management section, is all things that you can use for free, and then you pay just for the data that you're going to back up on a per device or per gigabyte basis. And then the advanced packs that get added on are added on per device as you need them, right? So if, for instance, you need 2 devices with advanced security and 5 devices with advanced management, you just add those on as you need them, and you provide that functionality to just those devices. So the point being is it's very flexible, and a way for you to protect your workloads, give them the best protection that they need, but also not have things that you don't need within the solution. Are there any questions on sort of the licensing side? And just yeah, so that's kind of how the licensing works. It's a standard product with advanced packs added on, and these are all obviously with the same agent, managed in the same console, just features that you require, you can then add on. There was a question about self-hosted solutions, which I typed in the chat, and I just want to just mention here. This solution here that we have is our cloud managed solution. It's the management console, and the cloud storage is hosted by us. However, there is also the ability, all the endpoints are obviously deployed locally. Storage can be local, and it's also possible to host your own cloud storage if you want. Right, and to use public cloud if you need to, so things like the Microsoft or AWS if you need to, that's also possible. But we do also have fully on-premise products that are available, and these are typically used in air-gapped environments where there's no access to the internet, and so our solution covers a wide range of protection scenarios.
Any other questions?
Okay. Well, let's we can wait a bit more for any other questions, if there are any. But I just want to thank Kids for hosting us today, for allowing us to present what our solution is for cyber protection. And I want to thank you all for joining and listening and asking questions. And if you have any further queries, or if you need a demonstration or a trial, please reach out to our partners here, and they will help you get started, provide any information, and bring us as Acronis, the vendor, on board to help assess any anything that might, any assistance or any things that might be required. So, but otherwise, thank you very much. You can continue answering questions, but continue asking questions rather, apologies. But if you have no other questions, then please feel free to leave. And thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you very much, Nick, for these wonderful presentations. And like he has said, if you have any questions, following on what we have presented today on cybersecurity, cyber protection, please type your questions, or you can use the audio to ask the question. They are still available. Okay, would wait for additional 5 minutes, and once we don't see any question, we're going to close the seminar. Thank you once again.